Part 27. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 262. Duguyuking was also shocked at this moment. Knew it? The movements of people like Master are related to the overall situation of heaven and earth and the transformation of the universe. Previously, I and my fellow apprentices had guessed that the Master was a powerful human being who was protecting the human race. Now it seems that it is indeed true. The teacher's big game involves the rise and fall of all races. At this time, Ji Changming continued. When our clan arrives in this world one day, we will surely come to thank Senior Li for his great kindness. Duguyuking smiled and said. My master lives in seclusion in the mortal world and does not want to be disturbed by the outside world. This is not necessary. Having arrived at the entrance of the village, Duguyuking immediately informed the three of them of Huang Tianzhou's coordinates with a snap of his fingers. The descendants of the Ji family are here, so I won't send a few away. Hearing this, Ji Changming immediately bowed deeply to Duguyuking and said. Thank you. The three of them immediately turned and left. After leaving, the three people first returned to the location of the main force. Elder, have you investigated clearly? Seeing the three people returning, Ji Yuanlin hurriedly stepped forward and spoke. When he saw that several people had not come back for a long time, he was ready to take people to look for them. It's been investigated clearly. Ji Changming said solemnly. There is a senior master living in seclusion here. The reason why we can return is all because of his help. We can't disturb him. Let's go, we already know where the clansmen left in this world are. Hearing this, Ji Yuanlin and others were surprised. A senior expert? To be able to make Ji Changming say this means, he must be a strong man of the holy way. Could it be that in this world, there is still a holy way left? Shouldn't it have completely disappeared in that catastrophe? However, Ji Yuanlin and others did not ask any more questions. Immediately, the group left with Ji Changming and others. They headed directly towards Huang Tianzhou. As you gradually move away from Xiantian state, the mysterious aura of the holy way becomes thinner. Sure enough, that small mountain village contains the source of the holy path. Ji Qingyu murmured. However, that small mountain village doesn't look like a place with the source of the holy way at all. Our Ji clan's Jishui, Luo family's Luoquan, Qin family's Buzhu mountain, etc. are all famous mountains and rivers, heaven and earth. Born. Ji Qing had doubts in her big eyes. After all, in the understanding of the world, the source of the holy way is born from heaven and earth, and is hidden in the blessed places of the Bel gods of creation. Ordinary terrain cannot hide or accommodate the source of the holy path. Ji Changming sighed deeply and said. If I'm not wrong, I'm afraid, the entire mountain village is the source of the holy way. This kind of source of the holy way has never been seen or heard of, I'm afraid it can only be recorded in the oldest secrets. Hearing this, Ji Qingyu and Ji Qing were both startled. Is the entire mountain village the source of the holy way? This is too terrible. Here we are. At this moment, everyone in the Ji family has arrived in Huangtianzhou. They had seen the mountains ahead. Faintly, there is the sound of rushing water in the mountains. Eh? What's going on? Why is there a strong aura of the holy way here? Ji Changming was suddenly surprised and said, could it be that the clan members who stayed back then actually found the source of other holy ways? This is impossible. For a moment, everyone was extremely dignified. Go and see. And at this moment, Huangtianzhou, among the mountains, Ji Yuanqing stood in front of a surging river. The surging river continues to grow, and it revolves around this mountain range, producing countless fairy spirits and the spirit of the holy way. And the source of this river is even more shocking, because it is a painting. A painting stands in the air, and on the painting is also a picture of a rushing river. The river here pours out from the painting. A painting. Created a river. If this spreads out, it will definitely alarm the immortal realm. There was no one around except Ji Yuanqing himself. Ji Yuanqing did not allow any of the clan's children to participate in this matter. Because this matter is so important that it can be called a real top secret. After he got this painting and brought it back, he was surprised to find that the river in the painting could actually be reflected in reality. This is too scary. Ji Yuanqing hesitated for a long time before deciding to let nature take its course and project reality. He believed that this must be a gift from Senior Li, the Lord of the Wild Sky. Now, the river is complete. This river was named Huangtian River by him, because it was written by the Lord of Desolate Heaven. The river in the painting was drawn by Senior Li based on the Jishui of our clan. Therefore, the river reflected may also possess some of the power of Jishui. Ji Yuanqing stood under the source, filled with emotion and excitement written on his face. Then, he stepped forward and put away the painting. The river water released by this painting is enough. Recently, the ordinary mountains and rivers where the Ji clan originally lived have undergone amazing changes. The immortal spiritual energy is extremely rich and the aura of the Holy Way is permeated. Senior Li may have given us a source of the Holy Way. He couldn't help but guess so. Therefore, he admired Senior Li even more. Powerful, truly powerful. This kind of character is definitely someone who can be friends with the ancestors of the Ji family and other contemporaries, right? He couldn't help but guess. Clan leader. At this time, a loud shout sounded outside. Ji Yuanqing put away the painting. King Ben, what's wrong? Ji Yuanqing looked at the young man running towards him and asked doubtfully. The young man Ji King Ben looked excited and said, Ancestor, the holy descent has begun, the clansmen are back. They're already outside. Hearing this, Ji Yuanqing was shocked. The holy descent begins, the tribesmen return. This is a big deal. Take me there quickly. He immediately shouted. Now. Outside the mountain gate. Ji Changming and the others looked at the mountains in front of them with tears in their eyes. The scattered buildings completely failed to show the power of the Ji family, a generation of holy power. Instead, it looks like a dilapidated courtyard that has been in decline for a long time. The young people of the Ji family have already gathered. They look at these strange visitors with various expressions of anxiety, expectation, etc. on their faces. Third Grandpa, how come this river, the feeling this river gives me is so similar to Jishui? Standing in front of the mountain gate, Ji Changming and others could already see the long river surrounding this mountain range. Ji King spoke suspiciously. This river is so similar to Jishui. You can even say, exactly the same. Jishui is the source of the holy way of our clan. Could it be said that when they fled to the hidden place in the past, the elders of the clan took out part of Jishui and left it in this world, evolving into this river? Ji Qingyu also guessed that this was very possible. But Ji Changming frowned. In that catastrophe, the holy path was on the verge of extinction and had to flee. Who dared to leave the seeds of the holy path in this world? That's courting death. How come this long river appears here? The clan leader is here. At this time, a loud shout came. Ji Yuanqing and Ji King Ben finally arrived. Ji Yuanqing's face was filled with excitement. He walked forward and saw Ji Changming and others. In an instant, he was convinced. This is my own tribe. You are the Ji clan. Ji Yuanqing spoke with great excitement. He suddenly stepped forward, held Ji Changming's hand tightly and said, the Ji clan is finally back. At this moment, Ji Changming also had tears in his eyes. A separation of hundreds of thousands of years. Although they are of the same race, they are separated by two worlds. You guys have worked hard. Ji Changming also spoke excitedly and said, where are the elders of the clan? Elder Ji Tianjing and the others, are they still alive? When the Ji family fled in the past, many elders, even the Supreme Elder, personally stayed in this world. Ji Tianjing is the originator of this branch. Hearing this, Ji Yuanqing burst into tears and said, "They are all dead. Ancestor Ji Tianjing and other officials did not escape the catastrophe. The descendants they left behind once established the heaven in the lower realm, but unfortunately, they were killed by other ancient tribes, and the heaven was destroyed. The inheritance has been cut off for thousands of generations, and almost all of them have forgotten their identity. It was only after I opened the origin stone token that I learned everything." In just a few words, he expressed the bitterness of hundreds of thousands of years. Hearing this, Ji Changming was also shocked. The ancestors died. The coordinate boundary was destroyed. The tribesmen had even forgotten their identity, and they knew it again. How much bitterness there is in this! "Come in, come in." Ji Yuanqing hurriedly invited them in. Not long after, in the simple hall, Ji Yuanqing told the history of their branch one by one. The elders who stayed behind in the past are all dead, and the inheritance has been broken. In order to cultivate Hungmen-level powerhouses, countless immortals from the first realm went on and on to build the immortal White Bone Dao Palace with bones. Finally, an immortal king was born, but in the end he was killed by the other three realms. After the first heaven realm was destroyed, our clan was scattered in the yellow heaven realm. If it hadn't been for the Lord of the Wild Sky, we might still not know who we are today," Ji Yuanqing said with emotion. Hearing this, Ji Changming said, "Lord of Huangtian." Ji Yuanqing nodded and said with emotion, "The master of this vast wilderness is the Lord of the Wild Sky. His old man has the power to reach heaven and earth. It was he who saved our clan. Moreover, he also destroyed the other three heavens and took away the stone orders of those three heavens." Suddenly, Ji Changming and others were shocked. "So he is the Lord of Desolate Heaven." Ji Changming lost his voice and spoke. "Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert." Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 263. Ji Changming looked surprised. He didn't expect that the senior Li he met in the small mountain village was the Lord of the Wild Sky that Ji Yuanqing was talking about at this moment. A sudden realization. "So, everything is connected? Do you know his old man?" Ji Yuanqing was confused. Ji Changming nodded solemnly and said, "More than just meeting, this senior has been extremely kind to us. On his way back, he was intercepted and killed by three ancient tribes. However, the three ancient tribes unexpectedly lost their coordinates. He also talked about arriving in the immortal realm and visiting Li Fan in a small mountain village." "That's it, that's it?" Ji Yuanqing also understood instantly. "It turns out that Senior Li has been taking care of our clan from the beginning." He was very excited and said, "The reason why Senior Li collected the stone orders from the three heavens was because he expected that they would intercept and kill you, so he destroyed those three stone orders." He was even more impressed. Senior Li's seemingly random actions before and after turned out to be full of such profound meanings. "That's amazing." Ji Changming also nodded and said, "This senior must have a great connection with our clan, a great connection." Ji Qingyu and Ji Kink were even more shocked when they heard this. "That young man is so scary? By the way, this big river here?" Ji Changming asked next. "This river is called Huangtian River, and it is also a gift from the Lord of Huangtian." Ji Yuanqing spoke directly, but did not reveal the existence of the painting. He vaguely felt that since Senior Li didn't tell Ji Changming and others about this painting, that meant that he didn't want the Ji people to know. Hearing this, Ji Changming and others were even more shocked. The status of the senior is beyond anyone's guess. Ji Changming was deeply moved. "That's all, no matter what, this senior is a friend rather than an enemy, so we don't need to think too much about it." Ji Changming stood up and said, "Chief Ji, although we have arrived, we still have to trouble you to stay here for a few days. We will go to rebuild the ancestral land from now on. When the whole clan returns, you will definitely be treated politely by the clan. You are the heroes of the Ji family. He spoke loudly. Immediately, everyone left. Watching Ji Changming and others leave, Ji Yuanqing was filled with emotion. We finally waited until our clan members, the family, will return. He clenched his fists. Ji Changming and others left this wilderness. Sure enough, everything is because of the existence of that small mountain village. Walking out of the wilderness, the aura of the Holy Way disappeared. Ji Changming was in a daze. It was clear that there was a desolate wilderness behind him, but there was actually the source of the Holy Way in it. It's unimaginable. Let's go. The ancestral land of our clan is in the center of the northern immortal territory. The huge holy path ferry is recreated. The terrifying pressure spread throughout the sky instantly. Almost across the void. The immortal territory is extremely vast, and each immortal territory is 1 trillion miles long. From the northern border of the northern immortal territory to the central part of the northern immortal territory, it took even a holy path spaceship 2 full days. Along the way, they encountered many holy path spacecraft. From the ancient Saint clan. I even saw some powerful men from the ancient Saint clan who took action to destroy the fairy kingdom in the fairy land. The common people howl. The original strongest men in the immortal realm, the immortal lords and even the immortal kings, were all too weak before the powerful men of the holy way of the ancient clan. Not to mention facing those saints who were extremely powerful in the ancient years, even the returning ordinary saint forces can raise their hands to destroy a country. Those Hongmeng cultivators who originally stood at the top of the immortal way were unable to protect the original vast territory of the immortal kingdom and its hundreds of millions of people. A catastrophe is happening and countless human beings are displaced. Third Grandpa, those ancient tribes have gone too far. Seeing a bloody scene again, Ji King couldn't help but speak. She saw a human fairy city being destroyed by a giant bloody ant. She wants to take action. We can't protect everyone. Ji Changming sighed deeply and said. The return of the ancient clan will inevitably require a living space. Even if we return as a whole clan and the truly strong ones in the clan come forward, we will not be able to stop it. This is the general trend, and his face is full of sadness. But, we are one of the 7 lines of the human race, can't even the human race protect us? Ji King couldn't help asking. Ji Changming said, the human race only has 7 veins, but do you know how many ancient saints there are? He said helplessly. Thousands and thousands. Thousands. Hearing this, Ji King couldn't help but fall silent. She has always felt that the family is omnipotent. However, today she suddenly realized that in this land of the future, the Ji family would also be alone and alone. Soon after, they finally arrived at the center of the northern immortal territory. Here, there are dozens of huge fairy kingdoms. The Holy Dao Imperial clan, the Ji family has returned, and all the Hongmeng cultivators should come immediately to pay their respects. A loud voice sounded in the center of the northern immortal realm. Now, countless holy spaceships finally arrived in the immortal realm. Among these holy path spaceships, all saint-level spacecrafts almost always arrived at major Hongmen-level restricted areas immediately. Those are the coordinates they left behind and their former territory. In the forbidden area, almost all descendants of the ancient saints survive. After those holy path spaceships landed, massacres and clearings continued. The fairyland of the past is rapidly collapsing. The once aloof immortal king is no longer powerful. They no longer dare to call themselves kings before the forces of the Holy Way. I'm Anchuo, come to meet the saints of the Xia tribe. In the central immortal domain, a generation of immortal King Anchuo walked into a secret valley somewhere. In this valley, the Holy Path Fairy had just stopped. He quickly got permission from the secret valley. Walking into it, the secret valley is densely packed with heads. Not long after, he came to a cliff. The cliff looked very scary. The entire cliff actually showed a terrifying Yaksha ghost face. In the huge mouth of Yaksha's fangs, there are several terrifying beings sitting. Cultivator Anchuo, pay homage to the saints. Anchuo knelt down directly. Here, he doesn't dare to think of himself as the immortal king. In the huge mouth of the Yaksha on the cliff, a Yaksha girl suddenly walked out. Her figure looked very devilish and fiery, but her two green teeth were exposed outside her lips. Reporting to the messenger of Yejing, it is this person, a blood food dedicated to Yaksha Valley. Next to him, an old Yaksha spoke. Old Yaksha was the original king of this restricted area, named Yezwo, but now he has become an old servant. The female Yaksha Yejing glanced at Antuo lightly. Anchuo suddenly felt a pressure. Holy way! The woman in front of me, is actually a creature of the holy path. You came to see me, do you have a gift? Yejing asked indifferently. Anchuo suddenly presented a box. My subordinates used the human race from 19 fairy cities to make the best blood food. Please enjoy it. Anchuo solemnly promised. From today on, Anchuo Immortal Kingdom will become the inexhaustible granary of Yaksha Valley. Yejing waved her hand, and the box of blood food was already in her hands. She sniffed it gently and immediately smiled. It won't be long before the source of the holy Dao of our clan will return. At that time, the heavenly tribulation will fall, and the original Xuanhuan Golden Immortal and Hongmen Golden Immortal in the Immortal Domain will all have to undergo the baptism of Thunder Tribulation. For the sake of your diligence, I will give you a trace of holy blood so that you can be reborn. Only when you have perfected your immortal way can you serve our clan better. Suddenly, a drop of dark green blood flowed out from Yejing's middle finger. Floating in front of Anchuo. Antuo was so excited that he took it. This drop of blood, contains the rules of the holy path and the source of the holy path. At this moment, he suddenly felt that it was worth it. So what if the entire fairy kingdom is sacrificed? As long as he can get a glimmer of hope to enter the holy path, he doesn't care about anything. This scene is just a microcosm. Now the immortal realm is in chaos. Almost all the immortal kings are looking for a backer. In the era when the power of the holy Dao comes again, the incomplete immortal Dao is like a pig or a dog. The fairyland of the past has completely collapsed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 264. The entire immortal realm was caught in a rapid transformation. The former fairy kingdom collapsed rapidly, and the fairy kings, immortals, etc. became ministers of the holy forces. In the face of absolute strength, the powerful immortals in the past can only lower their noble heads now. North Immortal Territory Zhongzhou. It has only been half a month since the Ji family came here. There were 6 major immortal kingdoms that surrendered directly. The hundreds of millions of territories of the 6 great immortal kingdoms have all become the land of the Ji family. Now, the original mysterious fairy kingdom, capital, and main hall. Xuanhuan and other 6 Hongmen level cultivators were guarding outside the main hall. In the main hall, everyone in the Ji family looked at the stone mirror with serious expressions. In the stone mirror, the light and shadow are chaotic, as if endless time and space are flowing through it. However, everyone in the Ji family found that they did not find the picture they wanted. The connection with the clan has been completely severed. Ji Changming spoke seriously and said, "There is a mysterious and powerful person blocking the return path of the 7 human races. Time and space are confused, and the return path may no longer be found. Hey, there are probably only a few strong people who can do this, even in the long river of time." Hearing this, Ji Qingyu and Ji Qing both looked nervous. What should I do? They asked questions. Fortunately, we met Senior Li in the map he gave us. There is an unstoppable path back. If we can successfully open it, we may be able to create some opportunities for our clan members. However, we alone may not be able to open this Dao map. Ji Changming spoke solemnly. The Zhang family and the Qin family are the other two holy Dao imperial clans. He is on the same level as the Ji family. Zhang Yuanwu of the Zhang family and Qin Fengxiao of the Qin family have come to pay a visit to their fellow Ji clan members. At this moment, a loud shout sounded in the sky. People from two holy families arrived at the same time. Ji Changming and others all looked serious and immediately left the hall to greet them. In the sky, two groups of men and horses came quickly. I am Zhang Yuanwu of the Zhang family. This is Qin Fengxiao, the Taoist brother of the Qin family. Who is in charge of this place? An old man spoke. Ji Changming stepped out and said, My wife is Ji Changming of the Ji family. Immediately, Zhang Yuanwu and Qin Fengxiao were happy. The two Taoist brothers came here, but because they lost contact with the tribe. Ji Changming spoke directly. Hearing this, both of them looked solemn. Zhang Yuanwu nodded and said, Indeed so. Qin Fengxiao also said worriedly. This is a serious matter. The 7 lines of our human race are very likely to be blocked by some kind of force. We must do something in this fairyland, otherwise our tribe may never come back. Ji Changming nodded and said, Two Taoist brothers, you came at just the right time. To tell you the truth, I already have a way to contact the clan members and bring the 7 clan members back safely. I only need the help of 2 of you. Zhang Yuanwu and Qin Fengxiao were both surprised. Is this true? They are doubtful. Shortly after. In the main hall. What? You said you found a way back from the hidden place. Qin Fengxiao looked unbelieving. How can this be? From the secret place to the fairyland, it feels like there is space and more time. The chaotic passage of time and the superposition of complicated spaces. Even a saint-level powerhouse cannot cross it, and even an imperial clan can only rely on coordinates to find the direction. The long river of time cannot be crossed at will, and the avenue of space cannot be easily desecrated. Brother Ji, are you really sure? Where did you learn about this so-called path? Zhang Yuanwu also asked in disbelief. However, Ji Changming was extremely determined and said, Don't worry, everyone, this matter is related to the rise and fall of the human race. I will never deceive you too. It's just that I can't tell you about the situation of this road right now. Two Taoist brothers, we have no choice. Zhang Yuanwu and the other 2 nodded when they heard this. Now, there is no other choice. We can only believe Ji Changming. What do we need to do? Zhang Yuanwu asked. Please work together with me to send a message back to the clan. As long as they understand this path and successfully start it, they can come back. Ji Changming spoke. Immediately, the other 2 people nodded. They immediately activate their respective clan weapons. Endless chaotic void and even space and time. Nowadays, time and space fairies are coming in overwhelming numbers. Keep appearing in this world. My clan has returned. In this life, our clan will seize all opportunities. In the void, on dozens of fairies, a group of humanoid creatures spoke, but they were extremely wild. Haha, in the golden age, the geniuses of our clan will inevitably rise in this life. On the other side of time and space, a huge time-space fairy, with wings like a golden rock, came directly across the sky. Its momentum was shocking. This life is the one in the ancient prophecy. Our ancestors used their 9th eye to see the splendor of this life and the opening of the ultimate road. In the dark fog, a bald old man wearing a black cloak murmured. He stood on top of the time and space ferry, and there was a crow's eye in the middle of his forehead. And at this moment, endless deep space. In the endless river of time and space. A place shrouded in grey fog, unexplorable. Countless huge time and space ferries were ready to go, but at this moment, everyone was shocked. Because they have lost their direction. The candle on the bow of the ship has not been extinguished, which means that the coordinates left in that world are still there. However, the change of time and space has severed the connection, so that the flame can no longer guide their way forward. What happened? Who is plotting against us? A powerful saint roared. All the ancient saints have already returned home, and only the 7 lineages of the human race are still trapped here. It was them who took action. If you want to affect time and space, there must be unimaginable people taking action. Who is targeting us? Countless strong men from the human race are waiting and angry. However, there is no choice but to do so. Facing the passage of time and chaos in space, even if they take out the artifacts of the ancestors and shatter the void of time and space, they will not be able to go back. However, today, suddenly, on the G family's ferry, the flames burned fiercely in a certain direction. Contacts are re-established, and our clan has found a way. Start activating this ancient road immediately. Quick. In an instant, in this hidden space and time, a terrifying figure from the G family took action, and powerful mana was circulating to connect with some mysterious path of existence. Suddenly, in the chaos of time and space, a golden avenue appeared suddenly, as if it had penetrated the ancient times. This is a mysterious ancient road that can lead to the immortal realm. It's the breath of human race. Set off. Countless human ferries are starting to set off. The 7 imperial clans, as well as the holy forces who once relied on them and fled here, began to migrate as a whole. The human race soon embarked on a journey. And at this moment, in time and space, a pair of cold eyes shot out a cold light. What? The human race, actually embarked on their return journey. How could they possibly find the path? The mysterious existence let out a cold roar and said, "No matter what road it is, I will destroy it." The mysterious existence swam around, clinging to the direction of the human race. If he could see it, he seemed to see a road. Together with the other world. Destroy. The mysterious being roared, and the terrifying power of the holy way overwhelmed the sky and the earth, disrupting time and space, and almost completely cutting off the avenue that finally appeared. However, at this moment, his path fell endlessly, and suddenly another trace of white mist slowly appeared in the path. Ah! In the chaotic time and space, the mysterious existence suddenly screamed. Great horror, great ominousness, great weirdness, how is this possible? Time flies. 1 month later. The fairyland has completely changed. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 265. Countless ancient saints have arrived. The original power structure of the immortal domain has completely collapsed. Almost all the fairy kingdoms in the past have become affiliated with the Holy Dao forces. Just today, huge time and space fairies appeared in the void. This is a fairy belonging to the human race. The 7 lines of the human race, as well as the holy path forces that once relied on them to escape, appeared one after another. Soon, they headed in different directions. The leading troops of the 7 lineages of the human race have arrived in the immortal realm and have opened up a territory for the holy Dao forces to rebuild. Above the sky in the northern immortal territory, the G family has hundreds of ferries. Each space-time ferry is very large, like a huge ferry city, and can accommodate tens of thousands of people. The population of every holy path force is very terrifying. They descended on Zhongzhou in the northern immortal territory. Open the Great Formation and bring the source of the Holy Way back to its homeland. Rebuild the ancestral court. A majestic voice sounded from the 9 heavens. Several extremely terrifying figures set up a vast array in the sky. In the center of the array was a stone mirror. In an instant, a huge river surged out from the stone mirror. Boom! Jishui comes up from the sky. The river water rushes down and returns to this land. Suddenly, the terrifying Taoism seemed to reappear from the ancient world. In an instant, people's livelihood filled the sky and fell down with the surging river water. This terrifying aura directly caused hundreds of millions of creatures around to kneel down and worship, trembling. This is the breath of the holy way. The surging river contains the source of this holy way. The river meanders, as if time and space are changing. Over hundreds of thousands of years, as the river rolls out, the landscape in the center of the northern immortal territory is changing rapidly. The old river channels, etc., reappeared. There is a big man high in the sky, using great magic power to release the Ji family's ancestral home and others that were taken away from this world in the past. The ancestral palace of the Ji family suddenly fell to the ground, guarded by the winding giant river. It was a majestic capital city and a huge towering palace. The moment it appeared, almost all the original fairyland buildings on this land collapsed. The Ji family reappears. Not only the Ji family, but also in the northern immortal territory, countless ancient saints have also reappeared. The source of the holy way they brought has quickly merged with the heaven and earth. At the same time, there are great changes between heaven and earth. All things blend together. The aura of the holy way filled the air overwhelmingly. Throughout the universe, the rules of the immortal way are being completed, and the aura of the holy way is unparalleled. 3 days later, the heaven and earth roared. On the earth, grass and trees grew wildly, carrying the aura of the holy way, showing the primitiveness of the wilderness. Creatures are evolving, and some originally ordinary ferocious beasts are beginning to return to their ancestors. Holy descent is a great blessing. But at the same time, there are countless cultivators wailing. No, I feel the unspeakable pressure between heaven and earth, it seems like I can't breathe. An immortal who originally belonged to the fairyland made a sad cry. The sword of God's will is about to come, and the thunder disaster will reappear. Haha, I have been a king all my life, but I am just a false king. An old immortal king sighed helplessly in the retreat. Boom. Finally, very soon, somewhere on the land of the northern immortal territory, a vast thunder disaster fell. This lightning disaster was aimed at a once famous old immortal king. That day, the northern immortal territory was shaken, and almost all the powerful people in the immortal territory were paying attention. No. I want to rise against the sky, and I want to achieve the perfect immortal path. The old immortal king was bathed in thunder calamity in a sea of thunder, but in the end, he was completely turned into calamity ashes. Immortal King Yuan Sheng has fallen, the former invincible king, unexpectedly, died under a thunder tribulation. The Dao of heaven and earth is completed, the immortal Dao is complete, and the holy Dao appears. The strong men who have previously achieved immortality and Hongmeng are not recognized by the Dao of heaven and have to experience thunder tribulation again. If you want to survive the thunder tribulation, you must either get support from the forces of the holy way and complete the foundation of the immortal way, or you can kill yourself, give up the cultivation of immortality and above, and start over. He did not take refuge in the forces of the holy way. I don't even have the guts to kill myself. Immortal King Yuan Sheng is old. Countless people are sighing. This is just the beginning. Immediately afterwards, thunder tribulations continued to fall. The original immortal level and above strong men in the immortal realm were the first to suffer the thunder disaster. The immortals are wailing, and the immortal king is crying out. Most of the immortals and immortal kings perished in this thunder catastrophe. Even if they are supported by the forces of the holy Dao, only a small number of them have completed the immortal Dao and survived the thunder tribulation. The immortal catastrophe has finally arrived. King Yuan Immortal King, survive the thunder tribulation safely and become an immortal king with perfect immortality. Now, he has become a servant of a saint genius in Xuanhuan. On this day, a piece of news spread throughout the northern immortal territory. Qingyun Immortal King, one of the Hongmen level cultivators in northern Xinjiang, established the huge Qingyun Immortal Kingdom in the past. Today, he finally successfully emerged from the thunder tribulation. Moreover, he became a servant of a genius from the Tianxia clan. As soon as the news came out, everyone was silent. In just 1 month, all living beings in the immortal realm accepted this change. And at this moment, among many holy forces, the ancient saint clan, Tianxia, a young man walked out, and behind him, immortal King Qingyun followed suit, like a slave. This young man was dressed in grey robes and had a lightning pattern on his forehead. He walked out with his hands behind his back and his aura was very powerful. He is an immortal. The immortal who has perfected his immortal path. Thousands of paths resonate, the source of the holy path of all races. The auras have converged. The immortal path is truly perfect and the holy path has reappeared. Xuanhuan, you are a prodigy of our clan. Now you can safely overcome the tribulation. In the abyss of evil, an old man walked out and spoke with a smile. This old man is a creature of the holy path. During this period, the thunder catastrophe reappeared in the world. It turned out that the immortals and Hongmen cultivators in the immortal realm were nothing more than experimental subjects in the eyes of the ancient saints. The geniuses in their clan are also waiting. Only when the immortal path is completely perfected and the sacred path is truly stable can there be a breakthrough. In fact, if you practice in an era when the immortal way is perfected and the holy way still exists, and you normally enter the realm of immortality and Hongmen, it will not cause heavenly tribulation in many cases. The reason why many immortals and Hongmen in the immortal realm cannot escape is just because their breakthrough in the era when heavenly Dao is not perfect will be regarded as cheating by today's heavenly Dao. In an era when the immortal way is perfect and the holy way still exists, only the best among peers can cause thunder disaster. Cultivation is a road to compete with heaven for destiny. The mediocre ones have no qualifications to attract the attention of heaven. Xuanhuan, as a genius of the holy clan Tianxia clan, should undoubtedly have caused the heavenly tribulation. Therefore, they have been waiting until now to meet the heavenly tribulation. This is the safest. Now that immortal King Qingyun is successful, it means that the avenue of heaven and earth has been stabilized. Hearing this, the young man smiled slightly and said, "Certainly." He takes one step forward. In an instant, the immortal aura that had been dormant in the body was released. The heaven and earth feel it, thunder and lightning are coming. Torrential thunder and lightning continued to fall, carrying masculine power. The sand and electricity are on the Tianxia abyss, activating the aura of the holy way in the Tianxia abyss, protecting one's body and bathing in thunder and lightning. Soon, he actually caught all the first lightning strikes. The second level of thunder catastrophe came with a bang, even more terrifying than the first level. Until the third level. In the end, Xuanhuan resisted the triple thunder disaster without being destroyed, and took a step forward to become the perfect immortal lord. Seeing this scene, immortal King Qingyun behind him was deeply shocked. He is one of the few powerful people in the immortal realm who can successfully cultivate the perfect immortal way. However, when he overcame the tribulation, it was just a thunder tribulation. Now, this young genius from the ancient saint clan has actually caused a triple thunder disaster? He deeply felt that even if the opponent was just an immortal lord of immortality, he could easily defeat someone in the Hongmen realm like himself. When the news came out, everyone was shocked. The geniuses of the major holy forces have begun to overcome the tribulation. They walked out of the mountain gate, blazing with brilliance, and the reputation of being a genius shocked the whole place and became the most dazzling stars. The center of the northern immortal territory. G family. The prodigies of our clan have caused 4 levels of thunder calamity. A group of old men looked at Ji Qingyu in the sky who had just survived the thunder tribulation, and were extremely excited. Ji Qingyu caused 4 levels of thunder catastrophe and survived it safely. What a genius! Even among the forces of the Holy Way, he is still a proud person. Ji Qingyu landed, returned to the clan, and accepted the holy Dao bath. Ji Changming watched Ji Qingyu overcome the tribulation, and a happy smile appeared on his face. Since the arrival of the family, he has handed over the ancestral stone order left in this world and the picture that pointed out the path of return for the human race to Ji Fenjian, the supreme elder of their lineage. But Ji Fenjian told him that this matter was of great importance and he needed to directly report it to the living stone figures in the clan who had been in seclusion for hundreds of thousands of years. He was not allowed to tell anyone, including other elders in the clan. Even the existence of Ji Yuanking's clan cannot be revealed for the time being. Ji Changming felt the seriousness of the situation more and more, so he did not dare to say anything anymore. Qingyu, let's go preach. He spoke towards Ji Qingyu. Many holy Dao forces control the immortal realm, but the troops returning from the hidden place alone are far from enough. Therefore, the major holy forces and others are also preaching crazily during this period. After all, the human race in the immortal realm has huge population resources. By passing down some ordinary holy methods, people with excellent talents can be screened out and absorbed into the force to supplement them. During this period of time, throughout the immortal realm, all the major holy Dao forces were establishing orthodoxy, dividing helms, etc., and emerging forces were springing up like bamboo shoots after a rain. The immortal realm has been silent for hundreds of thousands of years, and the immortal era has come to an end. The era of the holy path has arrived. P.S. The first volume of this book, The Peak of Immortal Dao, has been written, followed by the second volume, The Era of Immortal Dao. Let's take this opportunity to summarize the realm of cultivation again. Immortal realm, Qi refining, foundation building, golden elixir, yuaning, distraction, Dongxiu, Mahayana, integration, immortal, true immortal, Xianxian, heavenly immortal, golden immortal, Tai golden immortal, Deluo golden immortal, Xuanhuan golden immortal, the immortal king, also known as the immortal king. The top figure among the immortal king is called the immortal king, Hongmen golden immortal. The Hongmen golden immortal is called the immortal king, also known as the immortal king. Among which the top figure is called the immortal king, for the immortal king. The only immortal emperor in the immortal era, the emperor of black and white. The emperor of black and white traveled across time and space, rushed into the future, and borrowed the cultivation of the immortal emperor and the powerful foundation of the holy path to block the impact of the unknown mysterious powerhouse on the immortal era. Realm of the Holy Way, Holy Yin, Bahai, Holy Seed, Si Yao, quasi-powerful level, Yeshu, respected as a powerful power of the Holy Way, Pao, known as the Saint, Shackles, known as the Holy King, Kilmi, respected as a Holy King. Among them, the ethnic group in which saints appear is called the Holy Tribe. The ethnic group in which Saint King level powerful men appear is called the Noble Tribe among the Holy Tribes. The ethnic group in which Saint King level powerful men appear is the Royal Tribe among the Holy Tribes. Above the Royal Tribe, there are powerful the Yadi clan and the Imperial clan. Just like that, in the next volume, the protagonist will start his. In addition, Ming Tianbei was at the gate of the small mountain village, holding a broken bowl and begging readers for a reward. If he didn't get some reward, he would starve to death in the village. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 266. Soon, 3 months passed. In just 3 months, the immortal realm seemed to have entered a golden age. The seeds of the holy forces that once fled to the secret place have blossomed and bear fruit on the land of the fairyland. In addition to the terrifying imperial and royal clans, the holy forces that fled to the secret place in the past years also had many ordinary forces and ordinary inheritances. They relied on those holy forces and left behind a seed. Now that he is back, those ordinary forces and ordinary inheritances have also blossomed and become full of vitality. There are more and more forces of the Holy Way, spreading throughout the immortal realm, and there are more and more powerful people of the Holy Way. In fact, in the era when the immortal Dao is lacking, it is more difficult to prove immortality and the immortal king. However, after the heavenly Dao is completed, the avenue of spiritual practice is opened. Breaking through the realm is no longer as difficult as in the immortal Dao era. There are as many cultivators in the immortal and Hongmeng realms as crucian carp crossing the river. Even the holy Dao is not so far away. This is the blessing brought by the reappearance of the holy way between heaven and earth and the perfection of the way, benefiting all living beings. It can be said that in the immortal realm today, countless old and powerful immortals have died, but what they have gained in exchange is an overall improvement in strength. Northern Territory, Great Wilderness. A small mountain village, in a small courtyard. It's been a weird day lately. Li Fan was a little puzzled. In recent months, there has only been thunder but no rain. When Dugu Yuking and other disciples heard Li Fan's words, they were all confused. During this time, the outside world completely changed. Then there is no thunder. It is clearly countless people from the outside world who are undergoing thunder tribulation. However, in Master's eyes, it's just that the weather is a little strange. At first, the disciples would be surprised that their current state should be enough to attract thunder tribulations, but after so long, they have not attracted even one thunder tribulation. Later, they became calm. Maybe this is the scary thing about Master. Even the thunder of heaven dare not touch him. Nowadays, Dugu Yuking and other male disciples have become a little darker recently. The spring thunder sounded, which was a good time for farming. Although it didn't rain, Li Fan still led his disciples to finish planting all the land in the village. In addition, Li Fan also asked Wu Dade to use his skills of raising pigs and dogs to breed poultry and livestock for the villagers. Master, I'm back. Wu Dade finally came back, with some sweat on his face. Are you tired? Li Fan smiled and handed a cup of tea to Wu Dade. Wu Dade took the tea respectfully and drank it like a cow, but his eyes were about to cry and he said, Master, can I not go next time? When Li Fan saw this, he couldn't help but comfort him. Uncle Zhang's two pigs are a bit fierce in temperament, so it will take a little effort to breed them, but they are also good for you. Wu Dade said a little aggrievedly. It's good, but it's a bit expensive. During the breeding process, he was bitten by the two pigs. There's nothing you can do about it, the part of your body that can take the most bites is your butt. Don't you tear your pants every time? Li Fan smiled and said. It's nothing. I have planted a lot of mulberry and hemp in the east of the village. You can cut it later and give some to Aunt Li in the village and ask her to make a few more for you. That's it, isn't it? Yes, junior brother, isn't it just breeding sows? What are you afraid of? Next to him, Lu Rang also said with a smirk on his face. When Wu Dade heard this, he suddenly became angry and sent a message to Lu Rang. Senior brother Lu, do you know what kind of pigs those two are? They are ancient sky pigs, so ferocious, if I hadn't already broken through, I wouldn't have been able to withstand the bite. He has lingering fears. Since the last time White Tiger Fairyland returned, Wu Dade would rub the black dog's dog bowl on his body every day. There are two immortal kings locked up among them. He used the two immortal kings to continuously attack his whole body, and soon broke through to the immortal realm. In addition, in the past few months, he has completed the breeding work excellently. During the breeding work, he was bitten many times by those terrifying ancient giants, and the benefits were even greater. After being bitten many times, Wu Dade actually broke through to the Hongmeng realm. Not only Wu Dade, but after being led by Li Fan to work for several months, most people have almost broken through to the Hongmeng realm. At the same time, they continue to improve. Nanfan has begun to explore the next chapter of Emperor Zun's formation-breaking song. Emperor's formation-breaking song, Immortality, and Hongmeng are just a small starting point. She murmured, and the more she played, the more she felt as if she had uncovered an ancient history. It was as if I saw an invincible being, fighting enemies all over the world with the music of the piano. Now, she has begun to explore the holy path. Zi Ling's paintings are becoming more and more spiritual. Under Li Fan's guidance, she has recently begun to learn to leave blank space in her paintings. Being able to copy everything in the world is just the most basic thing. If you want to become a master in painting, you must not only learn to fill in things on the white paper, but also learn to restrain yourself and leave a blank space. Only blank space can be the most mysterious and attractive thing. Li Fan's teaching made Zi Ling think for a long time. She seemed to feel that what the master was telling her seemed to be an extension of the realm in the scroll. Her aura was getting closer and closer to the realm of the Holy Way. Zhuge Yuqing, on the other hand, started to practice more words. After mastering the 8 methods of Yangzi, he discovered more mysteries. Between every word, there is actually a sword move. He was addicted to it and was comprehending his own way of killing, the way of killing at the holy level. On the other side, a spider could no longer keep up with the dust-cleaning speed. With the idea that he could not be left idle, Li Fan took out 2 more from the system. When 3 completely different spiders appear together, even the black dog has to walk around them. Qing Chen was extremely tired every day, but his eyes became more determined. 3 spiders made him progress very quickly. Lu Rang was obsessed with planting grass and raising trees. He discovered that some soil at the roots of peach trees seemed to have a miraculous effect on his grass. A few days ago, he had the courage to take advantage of the fact that the peach trees were blowing in the wind and seemed to be in a good mood. Took a small handful and placed it at the roots of the grass. This caused Nacao to directly enter the realm of Hongmeng, and almost directly enter the realm of the Holy Dao. This made Lu Rang immediately excited. He coveted the soil at the base of the peach tree every day. On the one hand, he was a little afraid, but on the other hand, he didn't want to pull out the seedlings and encourage them to grow, so he stopped. He also watered the sapling in the corner of the yard very diligently. Now, the sapling has grown to more than 1 meter high, with green leaves and full of vitality. Xuanhuan was sitting fishing. A few days ago, a goldfish jumped up and finally bit the bait, but it was very fast and did not take the bait. Seeing the koi leap, Xuanhuan thought about it for 3 days and 3 nights. His aura continues to improve, and the dragon aura continues to echo the surrounding Taoism. He has almost entered the realm of the Holy Way. Zhang Li learned to play chess with himself. Playing chess with yourself and defeating yourself means defeating all enemies. Li Fan's teachings made him indulge in it every day. However, no one has dared to enter the corner where he placed the chessboard recently. A few days ago, when he was meditating on the chess game, Wu Dade accidentally entered it and was almost cut to pieces by various attacks. Lin Zhuhan studied the talismans and became more and more obsessed with them. At the same time, he also pestered Li Fan to make him a feather pen. He named the chicken quill pen Vulcan pen, and every spell he drew became more powerful. Spring is here, Xuanhuan, I will teach you a new poem. Li Fan smiled and immediately started writing. Immediately, Zi Ling, Zhuge Yuqing and other disciples all set up small benches and came to learn together. They all already understood that Professor Li Fan's poems contained various avenues for their reference and understanding. Xuanhuan is even more happy. A few days ago, she activated the immortal Dao fruit and demonic Dao fruit in her body to advance to the Hongmeng realm. Now, she is at a certain bottleneck. Li Fan's pen finally came down. This time, what everyone felt was no longer the invincible momentum, the only strength in eternity. Rather, it is fresh and natural, as if the breeze is blowing on your face, making you feel happy. This is a gentle way. Li Fan smiled and said. The jasper is as high as a tree, with thousands of green silk ribbons hanging down. I don't know who cut out the thin leaves. The spring breeze in February is like scissors. I don't know who cuts the thin leaves. The spring breeze in February is like scissors. Xuanhuan read along, but her big eyes immediately flashed with thought, and she murmured. Is what Big Brother is describing a way of creation? The spring breeze is the incarnation of creation and can bring vitality. She felt that she had vaguely touched a Tao. This kind of Tao seems to be able to merge the demon King Tao fruit of the previous life with the immortal King Tao fruit of this life. Spring breeze can give birth to all things. Before creation, were there any differences between immortals and demons? No. They are all products of nature. Her big eyes suddenly closed. At this moment, she felt like she was in the spring breeze. She felt like she had become a grass, a young leaf, growing vigorously in the spring breeze. Growth has become the only melody, there is no difference between fairy and devil. In her body, the immortal and demonic Dao fruits suddenly merged at this moment. Blending with each other, they no longer exclude each other. Mixed into one. It was at this moment, when immortality, magic, and fruit merged together that the branches of the peach tree in the small courtyard suddenly moved slightly. An invisible aura entered Xuanhuan's body. Smelted by her. Xuanhuan suddenly opened her eyes. Her big eyes seemed to be filled with countless vitalities. In the surrounding courtyards, the avenues are drooping, washing her and resonating with her. This is Enter the Holy Path. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 267. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Sister Xuanhuan has become a creature of the holy path. Nanfeng was in a daze. As soon as she thought about entering the holy way, Master's poem made her achieve success. The principles of creation contained in it also inspired me. Ziling's big eyes were sparkling, as if she had discovered a new world. Fellow immortals and demons, Miss Xuanhuan walks more naturally and harmoniously on this road than the Emperor of Black and White, leading directly to the holy path. Master, you really know everything. Zhongli was even more emotional. Xuanhuan followed the path of fellow immortals and demons and became the immortal king. It reminded him of the Emperor of Black and White who had disappeared not long ago. He sighed slightly. Demon Lord, no, now, you have become a holy creature. Gongya looked at Xuanhuan with excitement on her face. In the last life, the 9-saint demon lord failed to attack the immortal king and turned into 9 souls. In this life, Xuanhuan not only took that step, but she also did it so easily. All of this comes from a poem by Li Fan. She admired Li Fan immensely. And Xuanhuan was also shocked at this moment. She bowed deeply to Li Fan. Thank you, big brother. At the same time, she looked towards the peach tree next to her. Just now, she clearly felt that the peach tree had given her the energy of the holy path. The first realm of the holy way, holy yin. Introduce the energy of the holy way into your body. However, the higher the level of the qi of the holy path that is introduced into the body for the first time, the more things you can comprehend in an instant, and the more terrifying your future achievements will be. This peach tree only gave a breath of the holy way, but Xuanhuan felt that she had seen all the heavens for eternity. She was suddenly grateful and shocked. The flat peach tree planted by Master has probably already become the highest level creature of the holy path, right? It's terrible. Li Fan also smiled slightly when he saw the expressions of the disciples around him and said, "Spring is a good time. All things grow and creation is endless. You can also go out for a walk and feel the beauty of the world." Hearing this, all the disciples were even more shocked. The master's words clearly mean that the golden age has arrived, and the time for geniuses from all races to compete has arrived. Let us go out and practice. Zhuge Yuqing suddenly realized. Yes, we practice in the small courtyard all day long and lack actual combat. Lu Rang was even more stunned. He had been trapped in the village for 3 months and had been doing farm work. Ziling, Nanfan, let's go, follow my master and go for a walk in the spring. Li Fan smiled and spoke. He has been busy farming for so long, and since he came to Fairyland, he has not taken a good tour of the mountains and rivers here. Nanfeng and Ziling were both very happy when they heard this. Immediately, Li Fan left the courtyard with Nanfan and Ziling. And at this moment, outside the northern wilderness, a group of people is gradually approaching. This team comes from a remote town outside the great northern wilderness, Shenzhen City. The chief among them was a woman. The woman was wearing a luxurious dress, and her pretty face was filled with pride and a sense of superiority. She is the eldest daughter of Suzangde, the leader of Beiyao sect, Subaru. Behind her, there was an old woman and a pretty girl wearing coarse clothes and carrying a medicine basket on her back. The old woman is Elder Qi of the Beiyao section. Her face is full of flesh and her eyes are sinister. Subakian, if you can't find a Xuanzi level elixir this time and can't save my mother, your bitch will be dead. Looking at the vast wilderness in front of her, Subaru suddenly turned around and coldly faced the girl in coarse cloth. This girl is the second daughter of the sect leader Suzangde, Subakian. Subaru and Subakian have the same father and mother. However, the fate is different. Subaru's mother was just a maid of Beiyao sect in the past. And this time, Subaru's mother is seriously ill and must find special Xuanzi level medicinal materials to cure her. Subakian, on the other hand, has been studying hard in the sect, and is extremely talented in medicine. His understanding of the properties of medicine even exceeds that of the elders in the sect. Therefore, in the past 10 days, Subaru forced Subakian to search everywhere. All that's left is this vast wasteland. I will try my best. Subakian spoke in a low voice. Go, get in it. Everyone set off immediately. Soon. Have you found it? Are you there? Gradually going deeper into the mountains, Subaru spoke impatiently. Xuanzi level elixir contains some charm of the Holy Way, and the Holy Way in the world has only reappeared not long ago, so it is difficult to find. Subakian spoke in a low voice. You dare to talk back? Elder Qi, the old woman next to Subaru, suddenly slapped her. Snapped. A red slap mark instantly appeared on Subakian's face. A look of humiliation flashed in her eyes, but she still lowered her head. Little hooves, don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Elder Qi said coldly. Your mother's bitch gave birth to you, and you are a bitch. In our precious medicine sect, you are just a little bitch. Extremely insulting. Seeing this scene, Subaru suddenly smiled and said. Little bitch, why don't you continue sniffing? Where is the magic medicine here? If you can't find it, I will kill your mother's bitch and use her life to extend my mother's life. She spoke without mercy. Subakian lowered her head, with unparalleled hatred in her eyes. She clenched her fists tightly, but she could only move on. If she couldn't find the Xuanzi level elixir to save Subaru's mother, her mother would really die. Soon. They went deeper and deeper. No, the land in front of me feels very scary. At this time, Elder Qi suddenly spoke. There was a hint of fear in her old eyes. Hearing this, Subaru also frowned. Their treasure medicine sect is attached to the Lingdan sect, which is now the top force in northern Xinjiang. During this period of time, a new order and system had already been formed in the fairyland. Only those with a saint-level powerhouse can be called a first-rate force. As for their Baoyao sect, they only have 2 Hongmen-level cultivators, and they all only appeared after receiving gifts from the Lingdan section. The Baoyao sect is not a top-notch force at all. Elder Qi is one of the 2 Hongmen cultivators. Hongmen-level cultivators still have some vigilance. Subakian, however, frowned slightly at this moment and said, maybe there is a Xuanzi-level elixir in it. She sensed that the deeper she went, the stronger the holy charm seemed. Little bitch, do you want to kill us? Elder Qi grabbed her and said angrily, don't think that I can't see what you are worried about. Haha, Elder Qi, there is no need to be angry. Subaru sneered and said. Subakian, since you said there might be some elixir in it, then go pick it up. We'll wait for you here. If you can't collect it, I will take your mother's precious blood. There was a vicious look in her eyes. Hearing this, Subakian's face turned pale. Here, not even Elder Qi from Hongmen Cultivator dared to enter. But let her. However, she had no choice. Tears flashed across her eyes. Then, turn around and walk towards the depths. Mountains rise and fall. This fairyland is more magnificent than the heavenly realm. Li Fan smiled. The great northern wilderness is full of vast atmosphere and has a different scenery. They walked all the way in, and after a while, they climbed to a high peak. As far as the eye can see, the mountains are undulating, like a gathering of dragons, with various shapes. Xiling and Nanfan were instantly shocked. Looking at the wilderness from here, it feels like you are staring at a terrifying world. The great wilderness of Immortal Realm, I'm afraid there are many things hidden in it. Xiling murmured. I have an illusion. When I stare at the wilderness, I feel like time is passing. Nanfan was also stunned. The scenery is unique. This inaccessible place hides another world. Li Fan opened his mouth to admire. Hearing Li Fan's praise, Xiling and Nanfan both looked thoughtful. It turns out that there is a different kind of cave hidden in this wilderness, and it has been under the master's control for a long time. Ziling's big eyes suddenly lit up. No wonder master allowed the heaven realm to land in this wilderness. Sure enough, every tiny move of his old man has hidden meanings. Nanfan was even more emotional. Here comes the paper. I haven't painted for a long time, so I will try to paint today. The great rivers and mountains in this fairyland. Seeing the beautiful scenery, Li Fan gained quite a lot of information. Hearing this, Ziling was even more happy to be able to visit the teacher's painting again. She laid out pen, ink, paper, and inkstone. Li Fan raised his pen and looked at the endless wilderness ahead. What a wasteland! Although the vegetation is lush, it remains vast, just like a battlefield. Li Fan writes like a dragon or a snake. In an instant, it seemed as if the whole world was changing. Time and space are chaotic, and time is rushing. At this moment, Xiling and Nanfan both feel it. They seem to have seen a shocking battle taking place in time and space. The earth is cracked, the sky is broken, bones are buried in the wilderness, and the creatures are wailing. In the vicissitudes of the fields, everything has been smoothed over by the years, with lush vegetation, and multiplication of birds and animals. Everything in the past has been buried. Li Fan paints quickly. His paintings basically depict this vast wilderness. However, there were 1 or 2 strokes where he came to a clear conclusion and revealed something different. In his writing, somewhere in the wilderness, there are dense bones. His pen fell. In an instant, the terrifying avenue of time and the long river of time and space calmed down. There is only the breeze blowing around. Ziling and Nanfan were both staring at the painting. Master, use a painting to reveal to us a great battle in ancient times. Ling murmured, full of incredible expression. Just a moment ago, my understanding of Emperor Zun's formation-breaking song has gained a little more. Nanfan was even more surprised. The more war scenes there were, the more she could understand Emperor Zun's formation-breaking song. Because, that is the song of war and killing. She was sure that in the vast wasteland in front of her, there might have been a terrible war in some ancient era. Teacher. Ling looked at Li Fan. Li Fan smiled and said, painting is not only the present, but also the past and the future. Li Fan spoke calmly and said, what kind of past do the things we see in our daily life and in the same time and space have? What kind of future will they have? These are all questions that a painter should ask. Only in this way can a painting come alive. If a painting wants to have life, it must not only give it a present, but also a future. He pointed at the painting and said, for example, this vast wilderness, who knows if it was once an ancient battlefield? He was giving directions to Ling. In fact, from Li Fan's point of view, only ghosts know what the past of this vast wilderness is. But, painting is art. Since it looks like a battlefield, paint it like one. I seem to understand something. Ling murmured. At this moment, she entered the realm of enlightenment. Feel the time, imagine the past and the future. In her previous paintings, she had never thought of giving them a historical dimension. This way, is almost holy. At this moment, she subconsciously picked up the pen. She is describing this land. Moreover, we are thinking, seeing with our hearts, transcending the current situation, observing its past, and speculating on its future. Around her, wonderful Taoist charms emerged spontaneously. Nanfeng was slightly startled. She noticed that Ling was enlightening. That feeling of the battlefield, the changes of the years, just like a narration. She subconsciously played the piano along with it. At this moment, the formation-breaking song inspired Ling to observe this land. And her paintings are inspiring Nanfeng. The two complement each other. Li Fan also smiled, picked up a pot of wine, and started drinking by himself, extremely leisurely. And he doesn't know. The moment he put pen to paper, he marked out 1 or 2 bones on the land in the painting. Somewhere in the vast mountains, strata that were millions of years old suddenly collapsed. Countless bones were exposed. It was like being chopped open by a mysterious existence with a sword. The overwhelming yin qi keeps appearing. In an instant, in the depths of this vast wilderness, countless ferocious beasts and other beasts around became violent, frightened by this aura and fled quickly. Somewhere. Roar. Subakian was walking forward when he suddenly heard the terrifying roar of a beast coming from the front. Her body trembled, feeling the danger. She turned around and ran away. She ran as hard as she could, and finally saw Elder Chi, Subaru, and others in front of them. Help me! She shouted. At this moment, the expressions of Elder Chi and others also changed drastically. No, the ferocious beast is going crazy, the breath of this ferocious beast is terrifying. Let's go. Elder Chi hurriedly took Subaru to wait, turned around and ran away. He didn't care about Subakian at all. The ferocious beast behind is getting closer and closer. Subakian could only run away desperately. She was almost disoriented. Suddenly, she saw 3 people walking leisurely under a mountain peak in front of her. 1 man and 2 women. If she delays for even a moment, she may lose the chance to escape. However, she hesitated for a moment, then chose to run over and shouted. Run away, there is a tide of beasts in the mountains. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 268. Li Fan, Ling, and Nanfeng have already gone down the mountain. The auras of Ling and Nanfeng both seemed more and more ethereal. After some enlightenment on the mountain just now, both of them entered the realm of holy guidance. It can be said that the harvest is huge. I have just come down the mountain now. Suddenly, panicked shouts came from behind, which surprised them all. This girl is in a panic, what's wrong? Li Fan was confused. And Nanfan also stepped forward and said, Girl, don't worry, what happened? Subakian looked at these people and almost burst into tears, saying, There is a tide of beasts inside. The terrifying beast tide is coming. Run quickly. If you are late, it will be too late. But after hearing this, Nanfeng and Ziling both looked at each other. Beast tide. Obviously I didn't feel it. Maybe, there really is a beast tide. Ziling transmitted the message and said, The stroke that Master painted may have affected this mountain range. She looks complicated. Nowadays, she can see a thing or two. When the Master was painting, he used a brush to cut through the original landforms of the land with 1 or 2 strokes, revealing the original battlefield. If this is projected into reality, how frightened are the ferocious beasts in the mountains? A tide of beasts is entirely possible. You're right. The reason why we didn't feel it was because those ferocious beasts didn't dare to come towards Master. Nanfan was also stunned. Li Fan, on the other hand, looked confused at the moment. Beast tide. Girl, there is no beast tide here. Are you mistaken? He couldn't help but speak in confusion. It was clearly peaceful. When Subakian heard this, he was suddenly startled. Calm. Yes, the surrounding, seems very peaceful. What happened? Those ferocious beasts and the like didn't come after them. How can this be? She was shocked and confused. Suddenly, she glanced at Ziling and Nanfeng. A powerful cultivator. She was shocked. The auras of these two girls were clearly scarier than Elder Qi. At least a Hongmeng cultivator, or even, maybe a creature of the holy path. Master, this girl may be panicked, but she also has good intentions. Nanfan spoke immediately, looked at Subakian again, and said gently. Don't worry, my master is here, everything is safe. Subakian looked at Li Fan, her beautiful eyes even more surprised. This young man clearly had no breath on his body, just like an ordinary mortal. But, he is actually the teacher of these two girls. The cultivation of these two girls is at least above Hongmeng, so their teacher, is at least holy creatures. She instantly understood that the young man in front of her was actually a master of the holy way. It was precisely because of the other party that those ferocious beasts did not dare to pursue him. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but bow hurriedly and said, Junior Subakian, meet your senior. Thank you, senior, for saving your life. When Li Fan saw this, he looked even more puzzled. This girl must be crazy, I didn't save her. Maybe, this girl encountered some wild beast deep in the forest and was frightened. After all, a girl must be scared, so she was too excited to see herself and others. However, it was quite kind to come to remind him and others to be careful of wild beasts in the midst of a panic. No need to be polite, just get up. Li Fan opened his mouth and said, Since we have met, we are destined to meet each other. How about leaving with us? After all, since she met Li Fan, she couldn't be left here. Hearing this, Subakian was slightly shocked. This senior wanted to leave with him. She was instantly grateful. That's great, thank you, senior, thank you, senior. She immediately left here with Li Fan. Not long after, they had already arrived at the entrance of the village. Subakian was immediately surprised when she saw the small mountain village in front of her. She is a Deluo Jinxian, and her spiritual sense is far more powerful than that of ordinary cultivators, so she can vaguely feel the extraordinariness of this mountain village. Let's go, This is our village. Li Fan smiled. When Subakian heard this, she didn't dare to refuse, so she had no choice but to follow Li Fan and the others in. Enter the mountain village. Huh. Subakian was suddenly shocked. She suddenly squatted down. In front of her were a few weeds growing on the roadside. What grade of medicinal material is this? Subakian was shocked, her hands were trembling a little. She has been in the Baoyao sect for many years, but she has never seen such a powerful elixir that contains the aura of the Holy Way. Ordinary elixirs can be called yellow-level elixirs as long as they have a hint of holy charm. As long as there are more than 10 strands of holy rhyme, it can be called a mysterious level elixir. However, these weeds in front of us, it is clear that every blade of grass contains a rich and extremely holy charm. What level is this? Ground level? Even, Tianzi level? She does not know. Because she has never seen elixirs of earth level and above. It is said that the entire treasure medicine sect had only found one earth level elixir before, but it was immediately handed over to Lingxiu sect. A low-level sect like the treasure medicine sect has no right to get its hands on earth-level elixirs. The only thing she could guess was that these spiritual grasses must be beyond the Xuanzi level. If only I could get. Then Subaru's mother can be saved, and my own mother doesn't have to die. She looked at those grasses, and for a moment, her mind went through 1,000 times. She wanted to ask. However, such elixirs will cause competition and uproar in the outside world, and they are of infinite value. Why should I speak? There's no way I'm qualified to ask for it. At this moment, Li Fan saw Subakian staring blankly at a few weeds, and he was immediately confused. What's going on? Judging from Subakian's expression, she seemed to like and want these grasses very much. He couldn't help but glance at the bamboo basket on Subakian's back. Among them, there are many grass and leaves. Li Fan understood immediately and suddenly realized it. This Subakian is here to find wild vegetables. She was alone and ran into the forest just to find a few wild vegetables. God, how hard are these days? In this fairyland, isn't there a famine outside? At this moment, Li Fan couldn't help but feel a little sympathetic. He said, "Do you want to poach this?" When Subakian heard this, she stood up in a hurry, her face turned red, and she hurriedly said, "No. No, it's not. Senior, please rest assured. Bai Qian does not dare to covet such a treasure. Bai Qian is definitely not someone who refuses to repay his kindness. With such an important piece of grass, how dare Bai Qian?" Hearing this, Li Fan was shocked on the spot. Damn, how serious is the famine in the outside world? How can even a piece of grass reach this level? Are they all described as treasures? He had a complicated look on his face and said, "You can't dig this." When Subakian heard this, her heart trembled slightly, she was desperate. Although she knew that this thing was very important, she would never have such an opportunity. But now, she still can't help but despair. "You come with me." Li Fan spoke immediately. Subakian followed Li Fan blankly. After a few steps, Li Fan suddenly pointed to a vegetable patch in front of him and said, "Dig these." In the vegetable patch, there are various vegetables such as sweet potatoes, cabbage, tomatoes, peppers, etc. Seeing this, Subakian was stunned on the spot. Completely sluggish. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 269. Subakian looked at the vegetable patch that Li Fan pointed at her and was stunned. What kind of medicine field is this? Sky? The aura emanating from it was so rich that it almost turned into mist. In this medicinal field, she could hardly imagine that anything contained the holy way. It was so rich that it was beyond her knowledge. Heavenly elixir? At this moment, she vaguely felt that maybe even a Tianzi level person wouldn't be able to defeat him. These medicines are so outrageous. If it were left to the outside world, what kind of contention will it cause? Incredible. You can take whatever you want from the vegetable field and take it away. I can't help you with the rest. Li Fan sighed slightly and said, there is a great famine in the outside world, even if I have the will, I am powerless. After all, the villagers in the small mountain village also need to survive, and it is impossible to provide large-scale relief to the hungry people outside. She was lucky to have met Subakian, so let her dig some out and take them away, so that she could fill her stomach. Hearing this, Subakian was even more confused. Vegetables, vegetable fields. This senior, what do you think this is called, a vegetable field? Oh my God, the supreme medicinal materials in this place are actually just a vegetable patch in the eyes of others. What a family background. However, when she was shocked, she had to admit, the medicinal field in front of me seems to be managed like a vegetable garden. Her face is getting more complicated. You can take whatever you want, and we'll go back first. Li Fan spoke. He thought to himself that while he and others were watching here, this girl was so thin-skinned that she would be too embarrassed to dig deeper. I'd better not watch it anymore, just let her take as much as she wants. Hearing this, Subakian was even more shocked. This senior, can you take as much as you like? Thank you so much, senior. At this moment, she couldn't help but want to kneel down with gratitude. But Li Fan waved his hand and said, no need to say thank you. After saying that, he left with Nanfan and Xiling and headed back to the small courtyard. Subakian looked at Li Fan's leaving back, her beautiful eyes filled with gratitude. It wasn't until the backs of Li Fan and others had disappeared that she took a deep breath. Turn around and look at the vegetable patch in front of you. Senior Li lets me use it as I please. He must be testing me. Test whether I am greedy. She is extremely smart and can understand things immediately. How could such a precious thing be used at will? She stepped forward and suddenly found a few pieces of rotten cabbage peeling off on the ground under a cabbage plant at the edge of the vegetable field. Other vegetable leaves, etc., even a small piece contains a shocking aura of the holy way. She didn't dare to take it. Firstly, she didn't want to be too greedy, and secondly, because if she took it out, she might be immediately targeted by a powerful person who would directly kill her and seize the treasure. She gently picked up a small piece of rotten vegetable leaf that was almost completely withered. But, this medicinal material is extremely rich in spiritual energy, and the jade bottle I am carrying cannot protect it at all. But she suddenly became worried. Such precious medicinal materials must be stored in real treasure boxes if they are placed in the outside world. Girl, are you looking for something to put food on? At this time, a voice suddenly sounded from behind. Subakian turned around and saw a middle-aged man with a sack on his shoulders, looking like a scavenger. This person is clearly Ming Tianbei. Ming Tianbeifang saw Li Fan and others, and knew that this must be Senior Li, who had bestowed a great blessing on the girl in front of him. So, seeing that Subakian had nothing to put the food in, he stepped forward to help. He smiled and took out a dusty bottle from the tattered sack. There was a crack on the bottle, as if it had been abandoned. Use this. He handed it to Subakian. Subakian looked at the bottle, her beautiful eyes filled with shock. Sky. This thing. Isn't it terrible? She clearly felt that there was a terrifying aura in this broken bottle. Unimaginable. Senior, can you really give this to me? She asked tremblingly. This thing is so valuable. Ming Tianbei smiled and said. Don't worry, this is all garbage that the villagers don't want. I took it from the waste ditch. You can use it without worry. Hearing this, Subakian was even more shocked. Rubbish. Is this called garbage? Or was it thrown away by the villagers and picked up from the waste ditch? OMG. What kind of existence are the villagers here? The scavenger uncle in front of me is so extraordinary. Now, she must put it in this bottle to ensure that the breath of the elixir leaf does not leak out. She had no choice but to take it with both hands respectfully and said, "Thank you, uncle. I'll definitely return it to you when I'm done." Ming Tianbei grinned, with the pride of a scavenger, and said, "You're welcome. I'm leaving." He carried the sack and left the village. Subakian carefully packed the vegetable leaves and then walked out of the small mountain village step by step. As soon as she walked out of the mountain village, she heard the sound of a group of people fighting for each other. "Shan Ming, damn, I'll be the first to pick this time." "You want to fight, don't you? There are so many good things and I, Tishan, will fight with you. I want to order this broken bowl." "No one can do it." Subakian looked at it in confusion, only to see Ming Tianbei placing a sack of garbage in the corner, and a group of beings with powerful auras were fighting and picking at it. Subakian was shocked, because the aura of these people was very terrifying. It actually seemed like the devil. While everyone was fighting for it, suddenly, an extremely powerful cultivator with a cold breath suddenly took out a dung fork, pointed it at everyone, and said proudly, "I want to pick first, who has a problem?" On the spot, those powerful beings all fell silent. That dung fork is a terrifying instrument that they can't compete with. Seeing this scene, Subakian's heart was filled with excitement. These strong men. Do you make a living by picking up trash in this small mountain village? She couldn't help but turn around and take a deep look at the small mountain village. Then, he left. And at this moment, outside the wilderness, on the border of Qingyun Prefecture in northern Xinjiang, there is Zhenjiang City. The names of the major fairy kingdoms in the original fairyland have not changed much, but the country has now become a state. Qingyun Prefecture was the territory that originally belonged to the Qingyun Immortal Kingdom. Although it is only one state, it is very vast. Today's Qingyun Prefecture is full of holy Dao forces and countless sects, large and small. The Baoyao sect was originally a force of Qingyun Immortal Kingdom. After the beginning of the Holy Dao era, it became attached to the first-rate power Lingxiu sect and became a small sect in Zhenjiang City, making a living by refining medicine. At this moment, in the sect, Elder Qi was sitting in the hall, vomiting blood and looking pale. They were in such a miserable state. Even though Elder Qi, a Hungman-level cultivator, was present, he was still unable to compete against those ferocious beasts. One of the giant beasts gave them a claw from the air, directly injuring Elder Qi. "I ran back with all my life." That mountain range, in the immortal era, was a place where even the immortal kings did not dare to step into it at will. Now that the holy path has arrived, the creatures in it have continued to evolve. It is very likely that saint-level creatures have appeared. Elder Qi spoke with difficulty, looked at Subaru, and said, "Fortunately, we didn't follow that little bitch in. She was probably the one who brought these ferocious beasts to harm us." Her words were filled with hate. Subaru also said with hatred, "This little bitch, I'm going to kill her mother right now." "Miss Subakian, she seems to be back." At this time, a follower next to him suddenly walked into the hall to report. Hearing this, Subaru and Elder Qi were instantly surprised. "Subakian is back. This little bitch is not dead. Bring her up." Subaru immediately shouted angrily. Not long after, Subakian walked in. "You bitch, how dare you come back? Why don't you die outside?" Elder Qi cursed angrily. And Subaru said coldly, "Haha, are you going to look at me and carve out your mother's heart blood?" Hearing this, Subakian bit her lower lip tightly and said, I found the elixir." She took out a leaf. The leaves in her palm exuded rich spiritual energy. In an instant, Elder Chi and Subaru were both shocked. The aura of this elixir. They have never seen it before. Is this an earth-level elixir? Elder Chi suddenly became excited and said. By are you, quickly, go and call your father and your mother. Your mother's illness can be cured. Hearing this, Subaru also became excited and hurriedly turned around and ran away. Not long after, Subaru, a middle-aged man, and a beautiful middle-aged woman came over. The middle-aged man was wearing a long robe and said with an anxious expression, "Where is the earth-level elixir?" He is surprisingly the leader of the precious medicine sect and Subakian's father, Suzengd. The beautiful middle-aged woman, with a slightly pale face, looked towards Subakian at this moment. She is Subaru's mother, Wei Yanwei. Bai Qian, is this the medicinal ingredient you found? Suzengd saw the almost withered leaf in Subakian's hand. His eyes were extremely hot instantly. This leaf looks like it was made from an extremely ancient medicinal plant. It is of immeasurable value, even stronger than earth-level elixirs. Is it a heavenly level? He was excited. Give it to me quickly. He reaches out. However, Subakian held Yezi, took a step back, looked at his biological father, and said. Where is my mother? I have found the medicinal materials, it's time for you to let my mother go. Hearing this, Suzengd's expression changed slightly and he did not speak. Seeing this scene, an ominous thought flashed through Subakian's heart. Your mother. At this time, Wei Yanwei spoke, with a vicious smile on her pale face and said. Hand over the medicine and I will give you a handful of her ashes. Your mother, I have made the elixir and taken it. I will thank her. Her words were so cold. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 270. Hand over the medicine and I will give you a handful of her ashes. Your mother, I have made the elixir and taken it. I will thank her. Wei Yanwei's cold words were like a knife, suddenly piercing Subakian's heart. At this moment, her whole body froze. Her heart trembling. Her eyelashes trembled, and tears fell instantly. Mother. It was made into a pill, take it. At this moment, she felt extremely sad and angry. Mother. She burst into tears. Stop crying, it's not a big deal. Suzengd frowned slightly and said. My father will make it up to you. Hand over these medicinal materials and I will give you some elixirs to help you break through to the realm of immortality. He stretched out his hand and asked for medicinal materials. In his opinion, Subakian's mother was just a servant of a sect. In the past, I was just playing around on a whim. He had no feelings for Subakian and her mother. However, Subakian's face suddenly surged with unparalleled hatred. You want me to give you the medicinal ingredients? She smiled miserably and said. No way. She suddenly shook her hand. Under the use of spiritual power, the withered leaves turned directly into nothingness. She destroyed the medicine. No. Suzengd's pupils shrank suddenly, he stared at Subakian and roared. Are you crazy? Wei Yanwei was even more stunned. She never expected that Subakian would dare to do this. Does she want her life? You bitch. You want to kill me, you want to kill me. Kill her, kill her. Wei Yanwei shouted at the top of her lungs. Little bitch. Elder Qi suddenly appeared in front of Subakian and killed him with one palm strike. She is a Hongmeng level powerhouse. And Subakian, his cultivation level is just that of Deluo Jinxian. Subakian's face turned pale. At this moment, she almost felt death coming. However, a strong reluctance surged in her heart. She wants revenge. I want to kill all these people who killed my mother. A simple porcelain bottle suddenly appeared in her hand. The porcelain bottle was dusty, as if it had been discarded. She was holding the porcelain bottle, and she had no thoughts at this moment. She just wanted to kill people and take revenge. Subconsciously, she raised the porcelain bottle and faced Elder Qi. Elder Qi's Hongmeng attack has finally arrived. But, right now, the terrifying Hongmen level attacks all disappeared the moment they fell, like a mud cow entering the sea. And the simple bottle in Subakian's hand suddenly gave off a ray of energy at this moment. All of a sudden. Impossible. Elder Qi's eyes were horrified, she felt an aura of destruction. Very scary. The next moment, she let out a shrill scream, and her whole body exploded. It turned into a pile of blood mist. In an instant, everyone in the hall was silent. Dead silence. They all stared at the porcelain bottle in Subakian's hand, with extreme fear and fear in their eyes. Then, what kind of treasure is that? God, makes me tremble from the bottom of my soul. Could it be that it's an artifact of the holy path? At this moment, everyone was shocked. Can easily kill a Hongmeng level cultivator. This means that this porcelain bottle is at least Saint Yin level. And those with Shenjian level masters are already regarded as first-rate forces in the entire Shenjian city. The Lingzhou sect they attached to was only a first-rate force. Subakian was also in a daze at the moment. The porcelain bottle in my hand. Saved myself. And killed Elder Qi? Moreover, it seems that this is just a passive defense, and it kills instantly. At this moment, she was shocked. This is obviously just a piece of trash picked up by the scavenger in the mountain village. Although she knew that this porcelain bottle was not simple, she did not expect it to be so powerful. Where did you get this thing? Seeing this scene, Suzingde also spoke in horror. This porcelain bottle. It's too scary. Even he is just a Hongmeng cultivator, but just now, he also felt a sense of impending disaster. It's impossible to resist. Subakian slowly came back to her senses. Suddenly, her eyes swept across everyone in the field one by one. Hatred. Everyone's hearts trembled when she glanced at her with hatred. Don't mess around, you bitch. Wei Yanwei spoke tremblingly. However, as soon as she finished speaking, Subakian suddenly approached with a porcelain bottle in hand. The porcelain bottle in her hand pointed towards Wei Yanwei suddenly. No. Wei Yanwei's face changed drastically and she wanted to run away, but she was too late and was directly hit by the terrifying energy emanating from the porcelain bottle. Ah! With a shrill scream, Wei Yanwei turned into blood mist in an instant. Yanwei. Suzingde's expression changed drastically, and he felt extremely heartbroken when he saw this scene. However, Subakian was already approaching with a porcelain vase in hand. Dad, save me, save me. Subaru hurriedly ran behind Suzingde. Her whole body was shaking and her legs were weak. Suzingde turned to look at Subakian, with murderous intent in his heart. But when he saw the porcelain bottle in Subakian's hand, he suddenly became scared. No, no. This thing is horrible. Bai Qian, don't mess around. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said immediately. You killed Wei Yanwei and avenged your mother. It's time to let go of your anger. Your sister is already engaged to Master Lin of the Lingzhou section. If you dare to attack me or your sister, you will become enemies with the Lingzhou sect. When the time comes, even if you have a holy artifact in your hands, you will die. Don't mess around, don't mess around. Although he was persuading, there was a threat in his words. However, Subakian was just extremely indifferent. Approaching step by step. Die. She just didn't care anymore. Seeing that Subakian was unmoved, a flash of fear suddenly flashed in Suzingde's eyes, his face changed even more, and he gritted his teeth and said. I am your father and Bai Ru is your sister. Do you want to commit parricide? This is treason. Play the family card. However, this aroused the coldness and hatred in Subakian's eyes even more. Are you my father? She smiled miserably and said. No, you are not my father, you are a beast. You watch my mother being made into a pill. My dad? Are you worthy? Her heart was bleeding and she burst out with hatred, saying. I want you to die. She pressed the porcelain bottle. The horror is falling. No. Suzingd was horrified and wailed. Spare my life. Subaru even screamed miserably. Next moment. Boom. With a terrifying sound, the entire treasure medicine sex hall collapsed. Subakian walked out of the ruins step by step. There were still tears in the corners of her eyes. Behind him, everyone in the hall is dead. That day, everyone in Zhenjiang city was in shock. A sect was actually destroyed. Nowadays, the immortal realm has stabilized, and massacres rarely occur. But today, the Beiyao sect, which had a first-class power like Lingxiu sect as its backer, was destroyed, causing waves. Within the Lingxiu sect, the roars of powerful men could be heard. And at this moment, Subakian reappeared in front of the wilderness. Holding the porcelain bottle in her hand, she hesitated for a moment and walked into the wilderness step by step. During this battle, she understood how terrifying the porcelain bottle was, and it made her even more determined to return the porcelain bottle. Too expensive. Fantasy, I'm really not an unparalleled expert. Author, Xuanhuan. Chapter 271. Now. North Immortal Territory, Central Immortal Territory, somewhere in a very secretive hall. The terrifying laws of the Holy Way are entangled, and it seems like the residence of the Supreme Saint. It is aloof and refined, seeming to overlook the world. The main hall is suspended in the air, and around it are all kinds of chaotic and terrifying fragments of time and space. Countless time and space fragments are superimposed around the hall, making this place an almost secret existence that cannot be deduced, searched, or visited. At this moment, in the main hall, an old man wearing a white linen robe, with an immortal demeanor, seemed like a man from another world. However, his breath was very unstable and his face was a little pale. How could there be such a weird thing in this world? I just attacked his structural channel, but it actually caused my holy yuan to almost break. The injury is difficult to heal. He murmured. It was him who moved his hands and feet in the long river of time and space. The connection between humans and coordinates was temporarily cut off. But in the end, there is a mysterious existence that builds a path for the human race. Under his bombardment, it actually backfired heavily on him. If it weren't for all the chaos in time and space, I'm afraid I would have died, right? There was still some fear on the old man's face at this moment. I, Ren Tian, have been practicing the teachings of gods and humans for many years, and I have never suffered such a heavy blow. He murmured. He is an ancient saint from the celestial race. Named, Nintendo. At the end of the last Holy Path era, I did not enter the hidden place, but hid in time and space, waiting for the opportunity, so I could take action from the outside. That fellow path was obviously built by strong people from outside. Ren Tian was thinking. The secret place is the real secret. Horrors such as those troublemakers who can easily destroy an era of Holy Dao and make the Holy Emperor shed blood cannot be deduced. Similarly, the existence in the hidden place cannot be taken action by outsiders. Therefore, even though there must be a terrifying elder and strong person alive among the 7 lines of the human race, in the face of his conspiracy to cut off his return from the outside, the human race has nothing to do. However, he did not expect that such a passage would appear. It seems that the human race also had a backup plan back then. There are still 1 or 2 old immortals living outside the hidden place. Saint. Saint King. In short, It cannot be the great saint. He spoke with determination. There are changes in the 7 emperors map, gather together quickly. At this moment, a clear voice suddenly sounded. Ren Tian's expression changed. He immediately activated the formation and then disappeared from the spot. As if he had passed through a lot of time and space, he reappeared in a palace in another mysterious place. In the mysterious palace, there are many light groups, and in each light group, there is a strong man hidden. After Ren Tian entered this place, he also had a beam of light on his body, which was white. The white beam represents the saint. At this moment, the one at the top was a strong man with a blue light mass. That means a holy king. Ren Tian bowed. Just now, there are changes in the 7 emperors map. One of the 7 human saint emperors has reappeared in the world. The first holy king spoke indifferently. Hearing this, the several white light groups in the field were all surprised. Work together to deduce. A voice fell. Ninten and everyone else are going all out. In the main hall, a broken picture appeared. In that fragmentary picture, there seemed to be several silhouettes of people from ancient times to the present, but they couldn't be seen clearly. With the combined efforts of many powerful people. On top of the residual picture, a wisp of white mist slowly appeared. Weird. Instantly, everyone exclaimed. The white mist is in the north, the tomb of a certain human saint emperor should be in the northern immortal territory. Stepping up, the Holy Lord spoke coldly and said, I'll wait for everyone to retreat. Even if it costs 1,000 years, we must deduce the specific location. He spoke loudly. As you command. Shortly after, Subakian finally appeared outside the small mountain village. She mustered up the courage and entered the small mountain village. Hey, girl, why are you back? Ming Tianbei, who was begging with a broken bowl on the roadside, saw her and suddenly spoke unexpectedly. Subakian stepped forward and said, Uncle, thank you. This is the vase you lent me. I will return it to you now. Hearing this, Ming Tianbei was a little surprised. Do you know what this is? He asked. The garbage he picked up with his own hands, he knew very well that this porcelain bottle was a real treasure. If it were taken out, the blood demon lord would probably fight over it with a dung fork. I know, this is a real treasure that can easily kill Hongmeng cultivators. Subai said lightly. I knew you were sending it back. Ming Tianbei was even more surprised. It is precisely because I know that I have to send it back. Subakian opened his mouth, placed the porcelain bottle in front of Ming Tianbei, and said, Thank you, uncle. Bai Qian takes his leave. She turned to leave. Wait a moment. Ming Tianbei opened his mouth and stopped her. Suddenly, a strange look appeared on his face and said, do you have any special hobbies? Weird hobby? What are these words? Subakian's face immediately turned slightly red and said, No, no. Is it true? Think about it carefully. If there is, maybe you can stay. Ming Tianbei's crazy hints. The more Subakian listened, the more ridiculous he felt. This uncle, could it be that he wants to take him to pick up garbage? She said embarrassedly. Uncle, I am studying medicine refining. I have no habit of picking up garbage, and I don't know how to sort garbage. Hearing this, Ming Tianbei's eyes lit up. He grabbed Subakian's hand and said excitedly, Why are you picking up rubbish if you know how to make medicine? Come on, I see that you are kind-hearted and willing to risk your life. I will seek an opportunity for you. Subakian looked confused and was pulled towards the village by him. Now, in the small courtyard, Li Fan drank tea comfortably. The disciples are doing their own things. After Xiling and Nanfan came back, everyone else was shocked because they entered the realm of holy guidance. Every disciple has stepped up his hard training. Why? Li Fan couldn't help but sigh slightly while drinking tea. Another year has passed in the blink of an eye. 4 years ago. I still haven't completed the task given by the system. 10 disciples, when can we put them away? There are too few people with special quirks in this world, right? However, Li Fan can understand. After all, this is the immortal realm, and most people are busy cultivating immortality. Who has the leisure to do so, like his disciples? Maybe, I can only be immortal in this life. Is Miss Gongya here? At this time, a voice came from outside. It was Ming Tianbei's voice. Gongya, who was serving tea for Li Fan, was suddenly surprised. Ming Tianbei was looking for him. Master, can I go out for a moment? Gongya asked Li Fan for instructions. Go ahead. Li Fan smiled. Immediately, Gongya walked out of the small courtyard, only to see Ming Tianbei carrying a sack and a girl outside the door. The girl was wearing coarse clothes, but she couldn't hide her natural beauty. Her skin was like cream, her eyes were bright and she looked very smart. Gongya was confused and said. What's the matter? Ming Tianbei immediately summoned up the courage to step forward and spoke in a low voice. After listening to Ming Tianbei's words, Gongya's expression changed. Ming Tianbei actually wants to introduce a disciple to Senior Li? Is this crazy? She looked at Subakian and said. You want to come and become a disciple? Subakian's pretty face was also extremely worried. She bit her lip, mustered up her courage and said. Right. She was extremely nervous. She had absolutely no confidence in her heart. In her opinion, the senior in this mountain village had a high status and was a strong man in the field of the holy way. How could he like a small cultivator like herself? Seeing this, Gongya thought for a while and said. I'm going to ask the master for instructions, please wait a moment. After saying that, she turned around and walked into the small courtyard. Entering the small courtyard, she hesitated again and again on her face. Scared. What if it's abrupt and makes the owner unhappy? Completely finished. Gongya, what's the matter? At this time, Li Fan asked. Hearing this, Gongya looked nervous. The master asked a question, I have to say it? She could only bite the bullet and said. Master, there is a girl named Subakian outside, saying she wants to come and become a disciple. Apprenticeship. Hearing this, everyone in the courtyard looked over. Subakian, isn't this the girl we met yesterday? Zi Ling said in surprise. Li Fan was also surprised. Subakian. That's it, the hungry people from outside? It seems that the other party is probably unable to survive outside and wants to make a living in this village. Li Fan thought for a moment and said. Let her in. Take a look first. Hearing this, Gongya immediately became happy and said, okay. She immediately walked out, looked at Subakian, and said. You can come in. Subakian's delicate body trembled slightly. Under her long eyelashes, there was some disbelief in her big eyes. Could she enter this terrifying little courtyard? Miss Su, come in quickly. Ming Tianbei was also overjoyed and hurriedly spoke to urge him. Subakian reacted, took a deep breath, and walked in immediately. The moment I walked into this small courtyard, Subakian's delicate body shook instantly, and her big eyes were filled with shock. This world. There are terrifying and supreme principles, and thousands of threads are falling down. It was almost unbearable for her. And in the air around her, she clearly sensed some unimaginable elixir. Miss Su, we meet again. At this time, Li Fan smiled and said. Seeing Li Fan, Subakian was shocked. At this moment, she completely understood. This seemingly elegant and easygoing young man is definitely a supreme being in the realm of the holy way. At this moment, she took a deep breath and then knelt down directly. Junior Subakian, come to become a disciple, please take me under your wing, senior. She spoke sincerely, but felt extremely uneasy in her heart. A creature of the holy path, even if it is only in the realm of Holy Yin, in Zhenjiang City, it is still a statue, and it can support the existence of a first-class force. All we can do is look up. Now, I am requesting to be a disciple of a holy being. When Li Fan saw this, he thought for a moment and said, "You and I are destined to meet each other twice, but what do you want to learn from me?" Subakian said, "Senior, what this junior has learned throughout his life is all about medicine. Junior wants to learn the art of medicine." The art of medicine. Hearing this, Li Fan was also surprised. So this girl still likes this? After listening, Li Fan couldn't help but nodded. In the field of medicine, Li Fan was also tortured by the system. When he first arrived in the small mountain village, the villagers in the village often fell ill, and Li Fan cured them one by one. Birth, old age, illness, and death are a lifetime for ordinary people. Therefore, the art of medicine is also a skill that Li Fan feels the system has given him a more practical skill. It's just that in the past few years, for some reason, the people in the village have become more and more healthy in their lifestyle. In addition, they eat green food without additives, and they don't get sick, which makes Li Fan's medical skills somewhat useless. However, it is always good to pass on such useful skills. If you leave in the future, there will be someone to take care of the village. Moreover, this Subakian is kind-hearted and a good seedling. Thinking of this, Li Fan immediately smiled and said, "Okay, since you are determined to learn medicine, I will teach you this way. Stay." Hearing this, Subakian was stunned with surprise. At this moment, she was trembling. "I, actually succeeded in becoming a disciple?" She was excited instantly.